Welcome to Shred the Debt, the podcast that cuts through confusion and empowers you to take control of your financial future. Whether you're buried in student loans, battling credit card balances, or just tired of living paycheck to paycheck, well, you're in the right place. Each week, we bring you real strategies, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you shred your debt and build the life you deserve. Are you ready to take action? Subscribe now, share this episode with someone who needs it, and join the movement to destroy debt for good. No BS, no judgment, just real talk and real results. Let's get to work. Well, guys, welcome back. We're just coming off of a great episode. Had a lot of feedback from our courage and confidence episode last week. It was pretty deep, really. I love the fact that we can get off topic and then roll it back around to finance. I love the fact that we can talk about real life stuff and how it affects our overall life, how certain qualities like courage and confidence can affect our everyday life, but can also be brought back into the financial scope. So I have 5 emails that I want to cover today, and they're from people all around the country. And the cool thing about it is some of these guys have been listening for a little while. Some are fairly new, but they all have the same concerns about how do I build up my courage, or how do I build up my confidence? And that's going to be the tone, I believe, that we're going to get into. And just the review of these emails, I absolutely love doing this. You know, we get several, and I've picked 5 for today that I want to talk about. And it's amazing the impact that we're making on people's lives and their financial journey. And it's very cool to the emails that we get that we don't even talk about. They're just simple messages of, hey, thanks for what you're doing, or thanks for letting us understand this in a way that is different from other people. And when we read stuff like that, it helps us to what helps me to think that I'm doing the right thing, or I'm putting this show in the right direction, that people are benefiting from it, and it's not just another podcast or another selection when people are talking about their finances, or looking for tools to assist them in getting on the right track. So with that, thank you all for making it what it is so far, and hopefully you continue to share, and this show continues to grow. So the first one, let's jump right in here. This is Sherry from Macon, Georgia, and her email says, "Hey Mike, I've been listening to your Shred the Debt series on my morning walks, and the Courage and Confidence episode really stuck with me. I realized I've been avoiding looking at my budget because I didn't want to see how off track I'd gotten. This week I finally sat down and went through everything. It wasn't as bad as I imagined, but it wasn't great either. I'm trying to figure out how to keep that confidence going without slipping back into bad habits. Do you have any suggestions for small things I can do to stay on track?" Well, Sherry, thanks for writing in. Sitting down with your budget after avoiding it is a bigger step than most people realize. You didn't wait for the perfect moment, you just did it. Now, what I would tell you to do is maybe review this budget more frequently. I think if you you asked about small weekly habits, and that's exactly the right mindset. So confidence grows from repetition and not pressure. A simple weekly check-in, say 10 minutes tops, that can keep you grounded and aware without overwhelming you. You know, you're already doing the hard part by showing up. So you're conscious of the things that you're doing, and that's really what this whole thing's about, is to be conscious of the decisions that you're making, and then following up with yourself to ensure that the decisions that you're making are effective in meeting your goal. If you see something that that you're doing that is altering you from the direction of your goal, then you need to adjust. You need to make an adjustment. It's like if we're flying an airplane, we may have to make adjustments. If we get into some turbulence, we make an altitude adjustment. We get out of the rough air. A budget is very similar. If you find that you're making mistakes or you're having poor spending habits, you have to adjust to get out of that habit, that bad habit, that turbulence. You have to get out of that turbulence so you can get back on course and safely, make it to your destination. And that's what we're doing in budgets. So, and that's what we're doing in the repetition of continuing to show up for yourself. And when you do that, you're going to become more and more familiar with your spending habits. And then just being familiar is going to help you with your confidence. You're going to be able to look at something and say, "Oh, that doesn't look right." And then you're going to make an improvement or make a change to that. So like I say, you're already doing the hard part by showing up. And if you can, do a simple weekly check-in, you're going to be fine. Because the more, we've said this in past episodes, the more you know, the more you grow, and that's what you're doing here. You're becoming more knowledgeable, and then you're growing, and with that growth is going to come confidence. So thank you for that. Thank you for that email, Sherry. I really appreciate you writing into us. So next, we're going to go to DeAndre, and DeAndre is in Columbia, South Carolina. And DeAndre's email says, "Mike, I appreciate how you broke down courage into small actions that made it feel doable. I canceled a couple of subscriptions I wasn't using and set up a reminder to check my accounts every Friday. I'm not sure if I'm focusing on the right things. I want to build confidence with my money, but I don't want to overwhelm myself either. What would you say is a good next step for someone trying to build steady financial confidence?" DeAndre, I love the steps you've already taken. Canceling unused subscriptions and setting a weekly reminder are exactly the kind of moves that build long-term confidence. So you mentioned not knowing if you're focusing on the right things. Well, early on, the right thing is anything that keeps you engaged without stressing you out. So being familiar, the familiarity builds confidence. So you're laying a solid foundation, and that's what matters most right now. Being able to take those steps to, cancel those subscriptions, and that's where your focus is. It's you're focusing on the waste, and you can take one area at a time. If you're looking at it, if you're looking at it weekly, or whatever you're doing, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. But if every Friday you go and review your account, you can put a focus on one certain area. It's like, let's look at it like we're going to clean our house, and let's say our house is really dirty. That could be your financial plan. So right now your financial plan could look messy, right? Your spending could look messy. And it's not messy because it's like really nasty. It's messy because it's just not in order. And what you're trying to do is every Friday you're doing a check-in without overwhelming yourself. You don't want to try to clean everything and try to get everything in order in one day. You have as much time as you need to build the confidence that you need to be successful. Just trying to do it all at one time, overwhelming yourself or stressing you out, that's going to be negative. That's going to affect you negatively, and it's going to make you want to quit more than it's going to make you want to grow. Okay? And quitting is not building confidence at all. So growing is what you want to do, and that's going to build the confidence. So if every Friday you're looking at something, just take a certain portion of it. If you have your budget broken down, into, if you're looking at, your gasoline spending or your grocery spending or whatever it is that you have broken down, let's look at one area every week, and then eventually that's like cleaning the kitchen this week, and then next week we're going to clean the living room, or we're going to clean the bedroom or the bathroom or whatever. We're taking this one step at a time, and then what you may be able to do is when you're reflecting, you can reflect back, and then once you clean the house, it's all going to make sense because it's going to become more and more organized, and everything's going to be in order. And then every Friday you can start doing reflections. And then once your house is clean, it's just tidying up. Maybe today we're going to tidy up the kitchen and the bathroom, and you can just tidy up that budget and basically just do a check-in on your spending to make sure that you're on track and you're meeting your goals. And once you do that, you're going to continue to be confident because you're going to be familiar with what you're seeing. And if something doesn't seem like it's right, you're going to question it. And that confidence is what's going to make you question that item or whatever it is, and then you're going to make an adjustment to it. And then it's the act of you making that adjustment that's going to continue to help you grow, which will only lead to greater financial confidence. So I hope that helped you, and I appreciate you writing into us, DeAndre. Thank you. So next we're going to go into, we have Missy. So we have Missy, and Missy's from Knoxville, Tennessee. And it says, your episode made me think about how many times I've started a budget and then dropped it after a week or two. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong, so I quit before I see any progress. This time I want to approach it differently. I started a simple budget on paper, nothing fancy, and it actually felt manageable. I don't want to psych myself out again. Do you have any tips for keeping the fear from creeping back in when I'm trying to build better habits? All right, Missy. Well, thank you for being honest about the stop and start cycle. That's something a lot of people deal with, even if they don't talk about it. So a simple paper budget is a great move. We offer an Excel budget, and I've sent it to several folks, and that they're just getting started, right? And when you're getting started, you're just getting acclimated with your spending. A lot of these people don't even know where they're spending, where they're spending money. They just know that they don't have any at the end of the month, and this helps them build the framework. So a simple paper budget, like I say, that's a great move. It keeps things clear and low pressure. You're not having to pay for a budget, so you're not feeling like, oh, I have to do this because I paid $50 for it or whatever. It's free and it works, right? So the fear you mentioned, it usually shows up when we expect perfection. But budgeting isn't about perfection. It's about showing up consistently. And like I've said in some of these previous emails, it's showing up, okay? That's the most important part of it. And I think some of these podcasters or some of these TikTok influencers and things like that, they want to give you a layout that makes you feel like everything's going to be perfect. It's like we're going to do a show. We're going to do a show coming up, and I know I tease about it. Give a little teaser saying, "Hey, we're gonna talk about stock trading, or we're gonna do whatever." But the thing about it is, it's not perfection, okay? It's not a open a book, read this, do that, and you're going to be blessed with endless wealth. And it's not. It's a job, okay? A budget is a living doctrine, to speak, and this document that we're using, that we're calling a budget. It's a living document, meaning that we can make changes to it on the fly. It's not perfect. And everyone's looks different. It's like everyone's life. Everyone's life is not the same. The way that we carry about our business, the way that we live our lives, each one of us have situations that are a little different. than someone else. Even our family, my brother's life and my life are very different. We both have great jobs. We have the same parents that love us, and there are a lot of similarities that we have, but yet there are a lot of things that make us different and make our situations different. So you have to keep that in mind. There is no perfect budget. There is no perfect plan. There's only the plan that works for you. And what works for you won't necessarily work for me, and it won't necessarily work for someone else. But what does work and what is consistent is us showing up for one another, and us looking at like if I were to look at your finances, I could offer you advice based on what I see. Okay, so like I say, all of our situations are different. Our spending habits are different, and then what we try to do is we try to find the common ground. And then once we find the common ground, then we can make adjustments that fit our lifestyles and fit our goals. My goals are going to be different than a lot of other people's goals, right? And depending on our age, depending on where we're at in our career, there are a lot of variables that go into people's finances, especially their budgets. So, what we have to do, I guess where I was going with that is there's not a perfect scenario or a textbook scenario that's going to say, okay, you follow this. It's not like spelling a word. The word spelled. If we say, I don't know, whatever word it is, that. Okay, so THAT, that. Okay, we know that is spelled the same. If I ask whoever to spell that, they're going to give us the exact same spelling. Well, budgets, they don't work that way. So it's imperative that you do what works for you, and you have to check up on yourself. And the more you check up on yourself, the more familiar you become with your own situation, and you're able to make adjustments based on whatever those habits are. And then you're going to create better habits just based on what you're seeing, and you're going to progress and you're going to grow just by doing something as simple as a paper budget. So you're doing it you're doing it great. So I would definitely just continue to show up for yourself and be consistent. If you want to do it weekly, like one of the earlier emails, going to check up on it every Friday. Maybe once you set this budget up, you have a time, once a week or whatever, that you have a frequency that you're going to continue to check up on yourself. So you checking up is you showing up for yourself. And the more you show up for yourself, the more confidence that you're going to gain, because you're gaining experience. And with more experience, you're going to be more confident in how you spend money and how you track it. So I hope that covers that for you, Missy. I guess in short is the way that you're doing it is good. Having a budget is great. That's a great move. And for you to continue to show up for yourself and be consistent for yourself is going to help build your confidence, and it's going to help you to instill better habits. So I encourage you to just stay on the track that you're on, and I think you're going to be just fine. So moving on, we're going to Harold, and Harold is in Mobile, Alabama. Now, Harold says, Mike, I've been following your series since the fine print episode, and the courage and confidence one hit home. Last year was rough for me financially, and I've been trying to get my footing again. I'm working now, and things are stabilizing, but I still feel hesitant when it comes to making financial decisions. I second guess myself a lot more than I used to. What's something practical I can do to rebuild that confidence without rushing the process? Well, Harold, I appreciate you sticking with the series and sharing where you're at. Coming back from a tough financial year takes time, and it's completely normal to feel hesitant. There was something that happened with you that set you back. So I can see how you feel hesitant to come back and make decisions. Now, especially if you're not sure, maybe the decisions that you made that put you, in the position that you're in. And I know that you definitely don't want to make the same decisions again, or you don't want to have the same outcome as you had before. So I could understand where you feel, the unknown of making decisions, or feel hesitant because you don't want to put you or your family into a bind of some kind. So you ask for something practical, and here's what I would suggest: build a simple routine, a weekly review, a small savings transfer, or even just checking your accounts regularly. That can help you rebuild that confidence. Now, it's going to be slow, but it's going to be steady, and I think you're going to get some benefit out of that. Just showing up for yourself, showing up for your family. That's how you do it. You're already moving in the right direction. You're rebuilding, even if it feels gradual. You taking time out of your day to email us and to have questions of how do I do this? What do you there's a lot of things that we can do. We can be your hype man, and keep you pumped up. But the momentum and the confidence boosting, it doesn't come from me telling you that you can do it. Okay, I love being able to do that, and I love to support the listeners and support the responses, or by responding to these emails. But that's just a small portion of it. The being your hype man, that's one thing. But when the show ends and you're going back, your budget is still there. The problems that you have are still there. This is 30 minutes of your life that you feel that, I'm telling you, you're doing a good job. Sometimes we need to hear that. There's a lot of people that grow up that don't hear that, and they lack confidence based upon that. But once we get to a certain level in our life, we have to take ownership of our decisions. Now, me telling you that you're doing a good job, that's helpful. But for you to continue, even when the show's over and you're not listening to it any longer, you still have these decisions to make. And you're going to make these decisions on your own. Now, with each one of these decisions, we become our own hype people. Okay, we're going to hype ourselves up because we're going to change the way that we look at things, and we're going to build better habits, and we're going to continue to grow. And as we continue to grow, our confidence is going to grow. What we have to be able to do is have the courage to make changes. Okay, we have to drive out fear. And the way that we drive out fear is to become more knowledgeable. We're so afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of, if we lost our job, what would we do? We would have a severe sense of anxiety from losing our job. We would have a sense of anxiety if something changed in our life that was impacted by some sort of cost, some sort of money. If the transmission were to go out in our car tomorrow, a lot of us would be stressed out, and we would be overwhelmed with anxiety. We would be overwhelmed with fear. Okay, so what we have to do to combat that fear is we have to have courage. And courage will defeat that fear. That's like turning the light on and looking under the bed. As long as fear thrives on uncertainty and doubt and all that stuff, okay? So each one of these emails, I can sense a little bit of fear and a little bit of anxiety in each one of these emails. Each one of these emails basically say the same thing. They're looking for the same thing. And it's much more than just reaching out and asking for a hype man. It's us praising you on what you're already doing. It's just helping you see it. We're helping you keep the light on. We're helping you look around and not be afraid of making a bad decision. Because you've made bad decisions, it doesn't make you a bad person or doesn't make you poor with finances. It's when we fail to learn from those mistakes that set us back further and further. So if you guys can continue to drive out the fear and make sound decisions based on your own experiences, you guys are going to create a sense of confidence that is nothing will be able to stop you. You're going to be able to save better. You're going to be able to spend better. You're going to be able to invest. You're going to be able to ask questions. You're going to surround yourself with like-minded people, and you're going to become more and more, I guess, you're going to be more and more conscious of your decision making, and you're going to make better decisions because of it. So Harold, thank you for that email. We have time for one more, and this is going to be Tamika, and Tamika's in Jackson, Mississippi. And Tamika writes, "Your courage episode made me think about how much of my financial stress comes from repeating the same habits. I've been trying to break out of the payday loan cycle, and I made it through last month without taking one out. That felt like a win. Now I'm going to figure out how to keep the momentum going. I don't want to fall back into the old patterns when things get tight. Do you have any advice for staying consistent when you're trying to build new habits? Making it through a month without a payday loan is a real accomplishment. That's not luck. That's intentional effort, and you're doing great. So whatever it is that you're doing to bring attention to that, that's what you have to continue to do. And then I think what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find a way to look at your spending. Look at maybe there's something that's happening that in your past that you can go back and maybe look at financial decisions that were made, or you can look and see if there were certain things that that maybe happened, and see if there's a pattern in these happenings that maybe that's what drove you for this payday loan. So if you can do that, I think you're going to be able to make better decisions. It's going to prevent you from having to go back to those payday loans and those things. So you asked about staying consistent, and the key is to make the new habit easier than the old one. So if you keep your plan simple and keep your tools close, and also keep your steps small, that's what I'm going to tell you. So keep your plan simple, keep your tools close, and keep your steps small. So what I mean by that is your plan is simple. You don't want to go back to having payday loans, okay? So your tools are going to be your budget. That's going to be the biggest tool that you have, your income, and to be able to get an eye on your spending and know whatever was going on that was driving these payday loans. You got to get rid of that. Whatever was happening that you're running out of money, that you can't wait till you get paid. You have to understand what's going on there. And then once you do that, you can take it one step at a time, and you can, just like we're going back to cleaning the house, not to be overwhelmed. You can pick one small area of your budget, and then you can choose to attack it. And if you have to go back to a payday loan once or twice or something like that, it's making the progression. So you said that you win. I think it said you win a whole month, and you haven't had to do it. So you went through last month without taking one out. So I think you can build upon that. But what you have to do is you have to continue to build the momentum, and it's not going to be flashy. It's not I mean, it's going to be subtle and it's going to be slow. But if you take it one step at a time, you're not going to get overwhelmed and you're not going to want to quit. And when you feel like you want to quit, that's when you just go back to the payday loan because it's easy. And then you just pay it back and whatever the fee is or whatever. But we want to get away from that. So every one of these emails has a common thread, and that's people taking small steps and trying to stay steady. And that's the perfect setup for where we're going to go next. I want to thank everyone. Tamika, thank you for sharing that with us. I know that's very personal, and I appreciate how each of these emails are personal and how they share their thoughts with us, and we share these on the show to other listeners. So I think I want to thank everyone for taking time to send those emails in. The Courage and Confidence show, it was a reflection to me as well, because courage and confidence has been something that I've liked. And like I said in the show last week, I still do in certain areas of my life, but there's certain areas that I'm trying to improve upon. So with that, next week, I'm about to wrap it up for today, but next week we're gonna jump into a little better scenario. We're gonna finally get into stocks. So I want you guys to think that we're finally going to get into it. So we're going to talk about investing, and this isn't going to be a get rich quick show. I'm going to share some terminology with you guys and just help you guys, because I know we continue to go back to the budget, and I know and I've had these emails too. We share the good things, but I think it's also important for us to equally share some sort of criticism that we get from the show, and that's there's people that are following and they're looking for that next step up. And the next step up, I'm going to talk about investing a little bit next week. I'm going to give you guys some terms, show you tell you some different options as far as investing and different investment methods, and I think you guys will get a lot of benefit out of that. And with that, we're going to cut it here. So thanks for tuning in to Shred the Debt, where financial freedom isn't a dream, it's a plan. If today's episode has helped you take one step closer into crushing your debt, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, rate it, leave a review. If you want more tools, tips, and motivation, follow us on the socials. We're on the TikTok, and we have a YouTube channel. All of our shows are on the YouTube channel. So if you'd rather listen on YouTube versus a podcast platform, they are there for you. So I want you guys to join, have others join the Shred the Debt community. We continue to grow. We continue to help one another. We continue to cheer one another on, taking small steps to put us on the path to financial freedom. So until next time, keep pushing, keep planning, and keep shredding. You've got this. I'm Mike Boone, and we'll see you next time.